everyone, it's me, Ada Canada. Okay, first of all, I just want to quickly apologize. I am very sorry that I have been missing in action. I haven't really been posting or making any videos. Consistency is one thing that I'm working on. It's one challenge that I'm working on when it comes to making YouTube videos, and I haven't really been delivering on my promise and my word, because I promised myself that I was going to make uploads and try to be more consistent. I've just had a lot going on in my life that I can't really talk about on camera, but like I've had a lot of responsibilities and things that I've had to deal with and multitask, and sometimes it gets so overwhelming that at the end of the day I have to do a scale of preference and work on the ones that are considered as priority and then work my way downwards. But yeah, right now it is summer and I don't anticipate or speculate that I will be as crazy busy as I have been in the past 6 months. So I'm really hoping that I will get more consistent with my uploads and you guys will see more of me and more from me. So I'm really sorry about the break in transition, and I hope you guys are able to understand, and I hope you guys are also able to bear with me. Today we are going to talk about the things that I wish I knew, or the things that I wish I did before coming to Canada. I wasn't informed at the time. So there's this trend that's been going on with YouTubers in Canada, especially for immigrants like myself. A lot of Canadian immigrants like myself that are also making YouTube videos have been talking about things that they wish they knew, things that they wish they did before coming to Canada, or like they just wish they were like better informed and all of that, and now they know better. So I decided to just like this might be interesting, because there are definitely things that I wish I knew and things I wish I did before I came into Canada. The first thing that I wish I knew, or I wish I did, and I kind of regret to this day, was food.
You done lost your damn mind. When you get your damn mind, you call me.
Boy, if you don't get...
I honestly wish that I had brought my own food from back home, from my own country, before coming to Canada. So if you guys watched my previous video, which I'm going to link up here by the way, I talked about how the circumstances surrounding me getting my study visa and then coming into Canada about 6 years ago was so hurried. It was so rushed to the point where I didn't really prepare properly in terms of like things that I should bring and things that I shouldn't bring, right? So food was one of the items that I didn't bring when coming to Canada. When I came into Canada, I struggled a bit with food. I struggled a bit with eating. It was very difficult for me to eat the food stuff that they have here. Those are not things that I'm used to eating. It's not part of my culture. So I should have brought like dried food stuff. So there wasn't enough time to go to the market, buy fresh food stuff, and then dry them and then package them in Ziploc bags. So it was just very sudden and very rushed, and for that reason I didn't bring much food, and honestly I paid dearly for it, because I struggled the first few weeks when I came into Canada. Struggled with eating, struggled with finding what to eat, struggled with not being able to like eat the stuff that's here, because it's just not part of my culture and all of that. It really hit me. And there was African store, by the way, but then when you come into Canada as a new immigrant, the first thing you don't want to do is to go into African store and spend your money buying food there. That's why you have to bring your food from back home, because foodstuffs that are at the African store, they're really expensive, crazy expensive. So like going to an African store was just not really in my agenda, because it's just not, it just wasn't possible at the time. It wasn't feasible for me. But then I went back home to Nigeria to visit my parents, and once bitten, twice shy. So after visiting my parents, I went to the market and I packed enough food stuff to last me for over a year. I brought it back with me to Canada from my visit. So Pro tip, guys, when you're coming into Canada, it doesn't matter if you're coming as a PR or if you're coming as an international student or worker or anything, as long as you're going to be staying for a very long time in Canada, you want to make sure that you bring food, especially if your culture is not like the culture here in North America. Bring your own food so that you don't go through what I went through. The second item on the list that I wish I knew was clothes. I brought clothes that I shouldn't have brought to Canada because at the end of the day, I never wore those clothes. It's been like 6 years and I just never wore those clothes, right? So when I was planning to come into Canada, I was thinking, oh, I need to get some clothes. I went to the market. I bought a lot of sweaters because my cousin, my aunt, told me that it was cold, and I brought a lot of sweaters that by the time I got here, it was just useless because those sweaters weren't made for this kind of Canadian weather, right? So like I bought a lot of sweaters. I came with a lot of jackets that were just completely useless by the time I got here because they weren't thick enough to protect me. So if I had known better, I don't think I would have brought any clothes with me, because at the end of the day, I never wore more than half of the clothes that I came with. I ended up buying clothes here. Like the first weekend of me being in Canada, my aunt took me to buy clothes at the mall. So what was the point of me bringing clothes?
Child. Anyway, so
Pro tip, guys, when you're coming to Canada, try not to bring too much clothes, because at the end of the day, you're still going to buy clothes. So if you're packing your suitcase, for example, 10% of your entire belongings should be for clothes, maybe 60 to 70% should be for your food stuff, and the remaining 20% can be for any other miscellaneous items like your shoes, toiletries, or whatever it is else that you need to bring with you. Just don't bring too many clothes with you when you're coming, because at the end of the day, you may not get to wear those clothes. You definitely buy clothes, like trust me. Even if you're going to buy clothes at the thrift store, even if you're going to buy them so cheap, the fact is that you're still going to spend money buying clothes. So try not to bring too much clothes with you when coming. The third thing that I wish I knew, or I wish I did, was getting my driver's license before coming to Canada. So I remember when I turned 18, I wanted to learn how to drive. I wanted my dad or my brother to teach me how to drive, but nobody had the time to dedicate to teach me. One time, I think I was like 19 or 20 or thereabout, I had come back home from school to visit my parents, and I wasn't doing anything. I was basically just idle for like the number of weeks that I spent visiting my parents. And my brother was around at the time as well, but he was also going to work, so he didn't have the time to teach me. And my dad was busy, my mom was busy, so I really have been wanting to learn how to drive since back then. And the reason I wanted to learn at that time was just so that I could have something to do. I could like drive my parents to work, or take my parents to the market or the church, or just wherever they needed to go, right? I wanted to be able to ease the stress off of them. So that's the reason why I wanted to learn how to drive. But in that period, while I was on break, nobody just had the time, and I just stayed idle until it was time to go back to school. Getting a license here is kind of expensive, especially if you're doing it from scratch. Well, I mean, subjectively speaking, it was expensive for me. I've spent almost $2,000 trying to get a driver's license from a class 7 to a class 5. Meanwhile, if I had known how to drive, if I had had a valid license from Nigeria, all I would have needed would have been to go take a road test, and that would be all. Just take a road test, pass, and then try to transfer my license to a Canadian license. And that was definitely cheaper. That would have been way cheaper for me than how much I spent, because then, I mean, I paid for the learner's license, I paid to take the knowledge test, and then I paid to get like the physical copy of the license, and then I paid to go to a driving school. That's where like the bulk of that money went into. And then I paid to take another road test to get the class 5 license. So it was just really expensive. Another thing was, I went to the provincial driving school, the one that's run by the government. I couldn't go to a private driving school because the private schools that I contacted wanted me to come with my own car.
you done lost your damn mind. When you get your damn mind, you call me.
But I didn't have a car. Like, that's why I want to learn how to drive, so I can get my own car and drive, right? So I didn't have a car to like bring to their school and learn how to drive. But the driving school that's controlled by the government, the instructors had their own car that they would use to teach me how to drive. So I was like, that was just like more convenient for me at the time. So that's why I wish I had learned how to drive back at home, because then I don't believe I would have spent the amount of money that I spent trying to get my license. So pro tip again, when you're coming here, just make sure that you have a driver's license, a valid driver's license, and then when you get here, all you have to do is try to figure out what the requirements are to transfer your license to a Canadian license, depending on the province you're in. Driving is not a luxury in this part of the world, it is a necessity. It is very important, especially for the winter months where it's freezing cold. You want to be able to just get to where you need to go instead of standing in the freezing cold for a long period of time. So yeah, driving was something that I wish I had done back home before coming here. I didn't know how pricey it was going to be trying to get my license from a learner's to a class 5. The next thing on my list that I wish I knew was the fact that Canada is an expensive country. It's generally expensive, just generally across the spectrum, across the nation, it's expensive, but then the variation in expense now depends on the province that you live in. For example, you pay taxes on every single thing. Fortunately for me, I am in a province where the tax is very low, so it cannot be compared to places like Ontario or Quebec or British Columbia that have like higher tax ranges or higher taxes, higher GST, higher HST, so you end up spending more. So that's just one good thing. Every single month money is disappearing from your account, right? Every single month you have to have something doing that generates income in any way, even if it's an odd job, because every single month money is disappearing from your account. As long as you're the one fending for yourself, you have to pay rent or mortgage if you own a house, you have to pay electricity, you have to pay for air conditioning, you have to pay for garbage disposal, water, internet, you pay phone bills, you pay for daycare if you have children, you pay property taxes if you have a house or if you have a condo. It's just every single month a large chunk of money is disappearing to the kinds of bills that you have to pay for, whether you are a single person who lives alone or you are married and you have a family. Bottom line is that every month you're spending a significant amount of your income on bills, and it just never stops. You just keep paying and paying and paying and paying and paying. So yeah, I wish I had known that Canada was an expensive country to live in generally, but it doesn't matter because I'm here and I'm getting on with the system. It is what it is. This is the way the system has been set up and this is how it's done here, right? So I'm not alone. I'm not the only person who has bills to pay. Everybody else has bills to pay, so it's one of those things anyway. So I think that's pretty much it for things that I wish I knew or things I wish I did. If I happen to remember anything else, I guess I'll probably make a part 2 of this kind of video, but for now that's all I have inside my head. So I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Share this video with everyone around you, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Alright guys, take care. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.